L4 divide polynomials using long division. Think back, like 5th, 6th grade, and you learned how to do long division. And let's just say, let's make something up, 1,248, and let's divide by 5. Okay, so what did we do to be able to do this? Well, 5 doesn't go into 1, so we look at 12, right? And so 5 goes into 12 2 times. So basically, you figure out what goes on top. Then what did we do? Once we put the number on top, we multiplied to the what's on the outside, and we put it underneath, right? So we multiply. Then what do? We subtract. Subtract. Then what? We bring down the next number. Now, because I know what's going on with what we're doing today, we're going to bring down everything. Bring down. And then what do? You repeat your steps, right? So 5 goes into 24 4 times. So we figured out what goes on top. Then we multiply. 4 times 5 is 20. Then what do? We subtract. Then we bring down. And then repeat. 9, which is 45 because we multiply. We subtract 3. And then there's a couple of things that we could do. We could put a decimal and keep on going, but because that's not what we're doing with this lesson, 3 out of 5 was left over, right? So 249 and 3/5 was your answer for the long division. So what we're going to do, we're going to use these steps, and I don't think, let me try something real quick. I'd like to, yep, I can. So I wonder if, I'm just bringing this down right here, and one more try. Just going to kind of squish it up here for this next step. Okay. So first thing, 6p minus 36 goes inside the box because it's first, and divided by p minus 7, so p minus 7 goes on the outside. It says divide. If the polynomial does not divide evenly, include the remainder as a fraction, and that's why I put the 3/5 just a while ago. So what we're going to do, don't worry about the 7. We're going to look at the first thing on the outside and the first thing on the inside. There's a couple of ways that I can say this. I could say 6p divided by p. Let me just write that down. 6p divided by p. Well, if the p's on top and p's on bottom, they cancel out, and your answer would be 6, right? Okay. Or, usually I multiply p by something to get 6p. Well, if I already have the p, then all I need is 6, because 6 times p is 6p. So I figured out what is on top. Now we're going to multiply. We're going to multiply the 6 that's on top to everything that's on the outside. So 6 times p is 6p, and 6 times negative 7 is negative 42. So I have multiplied. Now we're going to subtract. So I'm going to subtract the 6p, but if the 42 is already negative and I'm going to subtract it, I'm going to subtract a negative, which means I'm actually going to add it. And what I'd like to say in this is draw your line, and change your signs. Now let me show you that real quick. Let me undo. Okay, so draw your line and change your signs. When we do that, that is supposed to go away. And then negative 36 plus 42 is a positive 6. Now, since this 6 does not have a p, there is nothing I can multiply this p by anything to be able to just get 6, so 6 is our remainder. This 6 is our remainder. So our answer is going to be 6, which is this 6, plus 6 over, what did we divide by? P minus 7. And you're always going to put a plus sign right there. Okay? And that is how we divide. Try to get rid of these yellow lines real quick so we can do the next problem. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to put negative 13g minus 26 inside. I'm going to put g plus 2 on the outside. I'm going to figure out what goes on top. I look at the first thing on the outside and the first thing that's on the inside. What can I multiply g by to get negative 13g? Negative 13. Then we multiply the negative 13 by both things on the outside, which is negative 13g. And negative 13 times 2 is negative 26. Then we draw our line and change our signs. Negative 13 and positive 13 go away. Negative 26 and positive 26 goes away. We did not have a remainder, so our answer is a pretty negative 13. G minus 5 goes on the outside. 5g to the third plus 5g to the second minus 50g. And I have to have a spot for every descending order. So if my largest exponent that I'm going into is 3, then I need a spot for g to the third, a spot for g to the second, a spot for just g, and a spot with no g. Okay, so I need to have 4 spots. And then we look at this g and 5g to the third. So what can I multiply g by to get 5g to the third? Well, I need a 5, and I need 2 more g's, or basically you subtract the 3g from the 1g on the outside and get 2 g's, so 5g squared. Then we multiply the 5g squared to both everything that's on the outside, so 5g to the third, because g squared times g is g to the third. Then 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. G squared, draw your line, change your sign, those go away. 5 plus 25 is 30. G squared, and then we bring everything down because we're not finished. Then we look at this g and this 30g squared. So what do I multiply g by to get 30g squared? I need a 30 and I need another g. So then I multiply the 30g to both everything on the outside. So 30g squared, and 30 times negative 50 is negative 150 with a g. Draw your line, change your signs. 30 minus 30 goes away, negative 150 plus 150 goes away, and since this is 0, I didn't need it, but I didn't know I didn't need it until the very end, so there's no remainder. So that is our answer. R plus 2 going into negative 14r squared minus 37r minus 5. First and first, r times what is negative 14r squared, a negative 14 with another r. Then we multiply. Negative 14 times positive 2 is negative 28 with an r. Draw your line, change your signs, those go away. Negative 37 plus 28 is negative 9, r minus 5. I'm just checking my math on that one. Yeah. And then we do it again. This r with a negative 9r would be a negative 9. So negative 9r. Negative 9 times positive 2 is negative 18. Draw your line, change your signs, those go away. 18 minus 5 is 13, so 13 is your remainder. So what you're going to type in your box is negative 14r minus 9 plus, you need the plus sign, 13 over r plus 2. minus 9. Okay, negative 8, w to the third, plus 74, w to the second. Now, earlier, I said you need a spot for every missing 1 because of the way this math goes. So if I have a w to the third and I have a w to the second, I need a w to the 1, or just plain w. And because I don't have that, I have 0 of them. So we're going to put plus 0w and then minus 161. So negative 8w squared, negative 8w to the third, negative times negative is a positive 72, w squared. Draw your line, change your signs, those go away. 74 minus 72 is 2. Bring everything down. Start all over. W times what is 2w squared? A2w. 2w times w is 2w squared. 2w times negative 9 is negative 18w. If I wouldn't have had the 0w, what you would have done, and don't write this down because this is going to be wrong, negative 18w, you would put that underneath the 161, but 161 and 18w aren't like terms, so because they're not like terms, you would not put them together. So that's why we would put it under the w space. So draw your line, change your signs, those go away. 0 plus 18 is 18. And then one more time, because the 18 has a w, what do we multiply w by to be able to get 18w? And 18w, 72, 16, negative, draw your line, change your signs, those go away, and negative 1 is your remainder. So what you would do is plus negative 1 over w minus 9. Now, it wouldn't be wrong if you would have, I don't have enough space here, but if you would put 18, all this stuff, 18 minus 1 over w minus 9. But in college algebra, you may have more than one thing that's a remainder. It's kind of difficult for me to explain what's going on because you're never going to see it. But I just want you to, if you start with putting a plus sign here in college algebra, you tend to not get it wrong later on, okay? So the plus sign is the best way to go there. V minus 5, negative v to the 4, plus 0 v to the third, because we didn't have v, plus 20 v squared, plus 18v, plus 34. V times what is negative v to the fourth, negative v to the third. Negative times negative is a positive. If you get anything wrong, it's probably because your signs. Draw your line, change your sign. 0 minus 5 is negative 5. Bring everything else down. Start all over. V to get negative 5 to the third would be negative 5 to the v. Negative 5v to the third would be negative 5v to the second. Negative 5v to the third plus 25v squared. Change your signs, let's go away. Negative 5v to get negative 5v to the second. Negative 5 times negative 5 is equal to 25. Space. Draw your line, change your signs. 18 minus 25 is negative 7. Bring that to 34. Since this still has a v, we're still going. So v times what is negative 7v? Negative 7. Negative 7v. Negative times negative is a positive 35. Draw your line, change your signs. 34 minus 35 is negative 1. So plus 1 over v minus 5 because that's what we are dividing by. I know, it's not fun. Okay, everything that we've done so far, if you wanted to wait until we do L5 could be...
did I leave an address in here yesterday?
I didn't see it.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it's
Okay. So, everything that we're doing on L5, it's a shortcut to do every problem that we've already done. I'll explain that better in L5. But there is no shortcut on these last two problems. Okay? So, the reason that I taught you long division is basically because of these last two problems. So, if we do 5q minus 3 going into negative 20q plus 15, what do we multiply 5q by to get negative 20q? Well, the q's are taken, they're taken care of because they're both q's and q's. But what do we multiply 5 by to get negative 20? Negative 4. So negative 4 times 5q is negative 20q. Negative 4 times negative 3 is positive 12. Draw your line, change your sign so those go away, and our remainder is 3. So it'd be plus 3 over 5q minus 3. Okay, and 2b minus 3 going into negative 8b to the third plus 24b to the second. And if anybody's paying attention, what goes next? I have b to the third, I have b to the second. I just need b. So I have 0 of them, minus 22. So 2 times negative 4 is negative 8, and I need 2 more b's. Negative 4 times negative 3 is a positive 12. B squared, draw your line, change your sign, so those go away. 24 minus 12 is 12. Bring everything else down. 2 times what is 12? 6 with an extra b. So 6b times 2b is 12b squared. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18 with a b. Draw your line, change your signs. 0 plus 18 is 18. Bring down the negative 22. 2 times what is 18? 9. We already have the b. Got to scoot up. 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. Draw your line, change your signs. 27 minus 22 is 5. So it'd be plus 5 over 2b minus 3. The reason that we have to do long division is because this is that 5 and the 2, and so if you watched all this lesson and you want to do as much as you can simply, then go to L5 and learn how to do L5. Then you can go back to L4 and do the easier ones using L5 method. But then when you get to these kind of problems, you'll have to use long division. There is no shortcut.